All right, folks, I feel I owe you a follow-up on the 2008 Suzuki XL7. It's got the big 3.6 in it. This is the one we looked at in a previous video where I had kind of a poopy attitude working on it, and we discovered that the the crank signal coming to the ECM was there but low on amplitude. If I remember, it was like around 2 volts or so. I also suggested that testing it at the ECM, perhaps it's an okay test. But once we gathered our data, we really needed to get to the crank sensor. To get to the crank sensor on these, it's all-wheel drive, you have to remove the transfer case. It is an absolute disaster. It's about a 6-hour job. You got to pull the transfer case, and there is no way around it. It is what it is. Long story short, I get down there, and I do remember mentioning in the first video, I think, where I said we would test it here. The signal's crappy here. Now we got to go to the connector, because we were getting that low amplitude. It could have been corrosion, and we were 100% correct. The crank sensor was not at fault. This is the back of the connector, so hopefully that'll focus for you. And you can see how chowdered up. Now this yellow wire wasn't as chowdered. These wires were melted completely together, and you can see all the corrosion there. Now it's on the gray wire, and I believe that is our 5-volt reference. Our yellow is our signal, our tan is our ground wire, and the gray wire there is the 5-volt reference. So indeed, we had a corrosion problem. And like I say, these things were melted right in a little bundle, just about like that. And I was trying to peel them apart, and everything down here was all crusty. So I did some of this damage on the end of it. Most of it looked like, you know, about like that once I got down there. So in case you're wondering about that. Crank sensor, completely, you know, harm-free. Nothing wrong with the crank sensor. It doesn't look like the corrosion really traveled much down the pins from what I could tell. It was mostly on the back side here, but inside the crank sensor it was good. So I want to show you what a good signal looks like, so we will fire up the AES Wave uScope, link in the description. It's turned on, ready to go. So let me fire it up here. So without even doing anything, there's our signal floating across the screen. Now I'll try to do this where we can both see it here. We want to change our voltage range, about 1 volt per division, so hopefully you can see that. We're going to come over about 2 milliseconds, I was thinking. And there we can see our waveform floating across the screen. Now remember, it should be 58 teeth, and then missing 2, so that's our big gap coming across there, and they're all 6 degrees apart. So that's what that looks like. Not a whole lot more we can do there. If you're curious, yes, you can freeze this waveform. You can make it stop there. I'll get a trigger up on the screw. Oops, missed it. See how you keep missing it? Not a big deal. We're going to go over to the hold, or I'm sorry, position. We're going to hit OK. Once position's blinking, then we can move our waveform over and see it. Now this sample rate on this right now is in what they call their fast sample rate, so I don't remember how many screens of data that saves. Obviously not too many. I know this really doesn't have anything to do with our video, but we're going to take, we can pop over to meters, or menu I rather. We'll go down to options, we'll hit OK. Go up to sample speed, we'll change that to normal. We'll hit OK. Hopefully it's not much of a glare for you. We're going to come back to hold. Well, we'll just get her capturing some data there for us. And then we'll freeze it again. We'll go over to position, hit OK. And now we can track through lots of data and see it, you know, flow across the screen. I don't remember how many, I don't remember the particulars. Keep flicking here, and there we go again. So that's that. Hit OK. We can make it run. How do we know it's 5 volts, you ask? I'm going to go down. We're going to go back over to menu. We're going to come down here to our meters, and we can see our volt max is 5.2. Volt minimum is just about to ground, or a little bit below ground. So that's absolutely perfect. Alright folks, I hope that satisfies the curiosity of those of you that were wondering what happened to the XL7. That's it. Did you get one of these in your shop? Run. I don't know if I'll do another one. They're a pain, huge pain. But the job's done. It's in, it's late. It kind of sucks because it was on this little lift over here, but it is what it is. I'm gonna keep motoring. In the comment box, leave any questions, comments, criticisms, and concerns you might have. And subscribe and ring the bell and all that business. And just remember, viewers, if I can do it, you can do it. Thanks for watching.